Man, you know that exact feeling. You wake up to your alarm, but you already feel completely exhausted. A heavy brain fog just sort of settles in, and you end up spending the entire rest of the day pushing through this veil of chronic fatigue, mostly relying on sheer willpower and, let's be honest, way too much caffeine just to function. Look, if you're constantly feeling overwhelmed, if you're struggling with focus and wondering why your nervous system feels completely frayed, you are absolutely not alone. Your modern exhaustion is completely valid. But the root cause might actually not be what you think. Welcome to this explainer on the light protocol. Today we're exploring the profound, honestly cinematic neuroscience of circadian biology. And we're going to look at how simply controlling your light environment might literally be the ultimate key to recovering from burnout.
So let's dive right into this. Why are we always so wired but tired? It's kind of the defining paradox of modern life, right? You're lying in bed at 11 p.m., your body is physically exhausted, but your mind is just racing. You're utterly incapable of shutting down. For years, we blamed this on, a lack of motivation or a poor diet or just generalized stress. But the core issue here is actually a profound environmental mismatch. Basically, we're suffering from the biological fallout of ALN, which stands for artificial light at night. We've fundamentally disconnected our ancient biology from the natural solar cycle, and the consequences of that go way, way beyond just a single night of bad sleep.
Part 1. The hidden cause of burnout: how modern illumination acts as a metabolic toxin. Part 2. Your brain's master clock and the cinematic neuroscience of the human eye.
Okay, so when we think about light, we usually just think of it as a tool, right? Something that helps us see in the dark. But the data reveals a much darker reality. Artificial light at night isn't merely a sleep disruptor, it actually acts systemically as a metabolic toxin. To understand how light can be toxic, we kind of have to rethink what our eyes actually do. We tend to assume our eyes function like cameras, simply capturing images of the world around us. But from a neurological perspective, our eyes are these exquisitely tuned biological clocks. They were designed by millions of years of evolution to interpret the time of day and then communicate that time directly to our internal organs. Deep within your retina, you have these highly specialized cells called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, or iPRGCs for short. Unlike the rods and cones that actually help you see shapes and colors, these cells use a really unique photopigment called melanopsin. Now, melanopsin is highly sensitive to one very specific wavelength of light, blue-enriched light, right between 460 and 480 nanometers. When these cells detect this blue light, they don't form an image. Instead, they act as a direct high-speed wire from your lighting environment straight into your brain's clock, essentially shouting, "Hey, it's daytime, stay alert." And the receiver of that high-speed signal? That's the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. Located deep in the hypothalamus, the SCN is your brain's master clock. You can think of it as the ultimate conductor of your body's internal symphony. It orchestrates all your 24-hour rhythms, from your core body temperature to your hunger hormones, right down to your sleep-wake cycles. So the absolute crucial point here is this. When the SCN receives that blue light signal from the iPRGs in your eyes, it aggressively inhibits your pineal gland. It completely shuts down the secretion of melatonin, which is the hormone of darkness. And without melatonin, deep restorative sleep becomes biologically impossible.
Part 3. The systemic cascade and raising the biological stakes of artificial light. So, the damage of staring at a blue-lit screen at midnight extends far, far beyond just waking up feeling a little groggy. When you suppress melatonin and confuse that master clock we just talked about, you initiate this dangerous systemic domino effect that ripples through all your internal organs. It's a full-body disruption. The data illustrating what we call the light-gut-liver axis is honestly truly staggering. Let's start with the liver, the hepatic system. Exposure to cold white LEDs and evening screens literally causes your liver to accumulate fat. It actively promotes insulin resistance and accelerates MASLD, metabolic dysfunction-associated steatotic liver disease. And get this, that happens even if your diet is totally perfect. Moving down to the gastrointestinal system, nighttime light actually alters your gut microbiome. It increases intestinal permeability, causing endotoxins to literally leak into your bloodstream. And neurologically, it dysregulates your HPA axis. This floods your system with cortisol at the exact time your body should be recovering. Basically, all your peripheral cellular clocks become completely desynchronized from the master clock in your brain.
Part 4. Light, dopamine, and mood. The emotional toll of a disrupted rhythm.
Now, we absolutely cannot talk about circadian biology without addressing mental health. There is a direct physiological line between the literal light bulbs in your living room and modern emotional fragility. If you are struggling with unexplained anxiety, maybe depression, or just a complete lack of focus, your lighting environment is playing a massive role. Let's break down exactly why. Constant artificial light activates your dopamine and serotonin pathways at entirely the wrong times of day, which severely diminishes your ability to regulate your emotions. You end up trapped in this neurological paradox. Your brain is accumulating massive amounts of sleep pressure because you've been awake all day, but the artificial blue light is forcing neurological alertness. You're exhausted yet entirely overstimulated. The research actually shows that chronic exposure to even dim artificial light at night impairs cognition and directly provokes depressive-like responses. It closely correlates with things like seasonal affective disorders. Basically, your dopamine-dependent mood stability gets completely shattered by bad lighting.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the ultimate duality of light. It's the exact same wavelength, 460 to 480 nanometers, but the timing dictates whether it's a medicine or a poison. Viewed at sunrise, morning blue light is your hidden superpower. It advances your clock, it triggers an incredibly healthy cortisol awakening response, and it deeply enhances your cognitive focus for the entire day. But, viewed after sunset, evening blue light becomes the hidden threat. It delays your clock, causes systemic insulin resistance, promotes that liver inflammation we talked about, and totally ruins your sleep architecture. The wavelength itself isn't the enemy, the timing is. Just consider this for a second. People with bright days and dark nights could be living up to 5 years longer than people with bright nights and dark days. That is an incredibly powerful, uplifting statistic. It tells us that mastering your light exposure isn't just some trendy biohacking trick, it is a premier, foundational longevity habit. And honestly, the best part? It's entirely within your control. You literally have the power to sync your biology back to nature.
Part 5. The Daily Light Protocol. Practical optimization to reclaim your biology.
Okay, now that we understand the deep neuroscience and the biological stakes involved, it's time to actually fix it. We're going to walk through a highly actionable, science-backed blueprint that is designed to perfectly synchronize your master clock, regulate your nervous system, and fully reverse metabolic burnout. I'd actually highly recommend taking a quick screenshot of this. Here is your daily protocol. At 7 a.m., wake up and immediately get 10 to 15 minutes of natural sunlight outdoors to advance your clock. At 10:30 a.m., that's when you have your coffee. By delaying caffeine 90 to 120 minutes after waking, you actually allow your natural cortisol rhythm to clear out the grogginess first. Around 2 p.m., take a midday natural light break. This falls into the circadian dead zone, meaning it won't shift your clock forward or backward, but the bright light will massively boost your dopamine and your afternoon focus. At 8 p.m., while the sun is set so your indoor environment must transition to dim, red or amber light. That signals to your brain that the solar day is officially over. Finally, by 10 p.m., power down the electronic devices and use a sleep mask to ensure absolute pitch black darkness. Remember, when it comes to light, timing matters far more than duration.
Now you might be wondering about those really dark winter mornings, or what to do if you work a schedule where you simply cannot get outside at 7 a.m. Well, that's where this number comes in, 10,000. Utilizing a 10,000 lux light therapy device in the morning is a clinically proven, highly effective substitute for the sun. Seriously, just 15 to 20 minutes in front of a 10,000 lux lamp will successfully activate those melanopsin cells, suppress your melatonin, and completely kickstart your biological day. So we've covered the breathtaking science of exactly how your eyes talk to your master clock, how the wrong light causes systemic burnout, and the precise daily protocol to fix it all. Change your light tonight and you literally change your biology tomorrow. You don't need some wildly expensive intervention to start healing your nervous system. You just need to respect the natural rhythms of light and dark. So I'm going to leave you with a provocative question to think about. What are you going to do with your lights after the sun sets today?